I don't think it was a car. I'm not sure what it was, but it was rotors.
Bill Bell was he owned a King. Yeah, King rotors, yeah. And those were, let's see, they originally came with either fixed upright or recording bells, or recording or standard upright.
Yeah.
In fixed or movable.
Interchangeable. Probably.
Yeah. And though there's not many of those, the tube exchange guy has 2 or 3 of them.
Is that right?
Yeah. Nothing bad about that, He's got a huge collection, but it's like all tubas.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. He's got 2 or 3 jumbos.
Is that right?
Yeah, just sitting around. Some have bells, some don't.
Huh.
It's got really like everything you can imagine of tubas. It's just nothing bad about that. It's just some of those could be put to better use. So this was the.
That's the whole tube.
Yeah.
Well, you want a copy, I think.
Yeah, funny story. I helped Chuck out the last rehearsal because on his King, whatever the Chinese manufacturer was, they put the third and the main tuning slide, they switched them. So his spit valve's on third valve and goes, I don't know why it doesn't work. And I'm like, just try switching them and see how it works. So now I can totally empty his spit and tune correctly and all that. It's great now. This is. Yeah, that's. Yeah, there was a rain catcher on eBay again. So it's find everything on there, but it had double valve ports on it. So it was kind of like a compensating system, but it wasn't. So instead of there being one set here, it would split into 2 and go in there. So it was like a short action Holton setup.
Oh, really?
But there were twice as many ports.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Obviously not very good.
Yeah, I would say it didn't last long, probably, but.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so it is a York. So then this would have been, I'm trying to think, York 62 or something was one of their smaller, because I mean, there's obviously the monsters size, which
that, but
yeah.
what does the bell stamp actually say?
It says York Grand Rapid, Michigan, USA.
Let me see if I can determine when that was built.
Because some of them are JW Yorks and have more elaborate engraving.
Those are all different eras, too.
Yeah. And this has more of the, kind of the, what am I thinking of? Oh shoot, what is that? This has more of a Con 20K style, like 30s, late 30s.
Yeah. I would guess that's probably what we're looking at.
Because the 20s had the more kind of classical, more flowing, whereas these have more, what's the word I'm looking for? Structured.
Okay, let's see here. it say York Band Instrument Company? Is that what it says?
It says York Grand Rapids, not Band Instrument Company, just York. Perhaps is this one of the ones that were made at Eastern Germany, that type of, like the York Masters?
No, I don't think so. I have a feeling this was built sometime before 1940. But it doesn't specifically give me a hint in here. 26 and 27, it was called the York Band Instrument Company until 1940.
This has NMC engraved on it also.
Oh yeah, it was in the working collection.
Oh.
Kids checked it out and played at it for years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very responsive. I don't have to struggle as much in the top register.
Yeah, I'm guessing that probably is. Yeah, that's a good question, because I don't have enough information here to date it very accurately. It's a pretty good tuba though.
Oh yeah. I played on big instruments so long. It's nice to play on something small.
Yeah.
Does the big one back here work?
It does.
I remember you talking about it last time I was here.
That's a monster.
Geschenbach, Berlin, 1905.
Essenbach, yeah.
Oh, Essenbach. Ah, yeah, period. There it is. So what's the story behind this one then?
It was donated to the collection by a guy who played in Montreal. He bought that instrument in Fort Wayne in a used store, used shop, way back, I suspect probably in the 30s or even earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Played on it all his life, and he sent it to us, and he called this instrument Heidi. He said, Heidi's linkage is so bad that I'm going to have to retire it. It made him sad, but I think the guy retired from performing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether he performed in the Montreal Symphony or not, but it kind of sounded like he had. But that's an instrument with a huge bore.
Well, yeah, that's. I was comparing the second slides on the King jumbo and my Con jumbo, and it's like night and day. That one's just so it's like this one. It's so big it can almost stuff the Con slide into the other slide.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's really it's huge. So do you prefer on a tuba a more German style stack or the more American flared out bell?
I've liked my Miraphone so much because for lots of different reasons. So I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I spent 15 years of my life playing in orchestras, and you want a different sound there
Mm-hmm.
than you do in the band, you know. So you're the only person. You want it to be as tight a sound as you can get, pretty close to the bass trombone. So.
That's not, I mean, in the travel on that, it's short. I can see why someone likes playing clockworks. I'm trying to build myself a mini tortoiser tuba, like they used to use in the Swiss bands.
Oh yeah.
About, I think, maybe, I mean, they had a 10-inch bell on them. They're about 20 inches long, but a full B flat, you know,
Yeah.
18 feet. So I bought a, what was that? A Getson G bugle off of eBay recently. I'm waiting to get it shipped. And it came with a piston valve and 3 rotary valves. And I'm hopefully, as soon as I find out how big the bore is, I'll be making a smaller tuba so I can take it to gigs easier.
Yeah.
Because it's you know the size of the euphonium and be able to play it.
Sure.
Put it, throw it in your backpack.
If you play German band gigs, you don't need a big tuba.
No.
Actually, if you're playing quintet gigs, you don't either.
No. I discovered that as well because I played on a B&S PT1 for a couple of years until I got the Holton, and then I used that because we had more tuba players and they were using all the other instruments. Yeah, so trying to play in a quintet with the Holton is a struggle to get quiet enough for everybody else and not overpower them.
Yeah.
That's, is this F or E?
Yes, F with 6 valves. That's an Alexander. There's a. Carol Yonch played on this instrument quite a bit. He was here.
Have you never played an F? I've only played B flat instruments, so can't really comment. I was looking into buying one of those Chinese mirrorphone copies of the F with a 4 and 2 to make into a jazzophone. Because they're cheap enough where I can do it that way. Yeah. That's. I don't know if I could get used to is
It'll
it.
take a while, wouldn't it?
So was this again another donation to the collection? Okay. I mean, are a lot of these instruments donations, or like how big was the collection when it came here?
Well, when it came here, that's a good question, but it was pretty close to the size we have now. I don't suppose we've acquired more than 15 or 20 instruments since I've been around. I intentionally don't, because there's not much point in it, unless there's something that we get that's unique. Somebody gave us a trombone a couple years ago that had been played by a guy. Detroit Symphony was really quite a beautiful instrument and played by some well-known people. And the folks who gave it to us wanted us to have it. So you take that sort of thing. It was a con, so furthermore. But just to acquire a bunch of, let's say, tubas or anything else that takes up this much space. We've got 2 prime E flats over there. We've got, representation here, and that piece right there is quite interesting. Really, could probably be put in beautiful playing condition. It could probably be a very good instrument because Alexander experiment with it, just to see what you find.
That's obviously the F. Yeah. So, I honestly have no idea what I'm playing. Let's see. F, B, B, D. Oh, let's see. No, I honestly even can't think.
Okay.
It's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
I think you have to use combinations, if I recall correctly. I haven't played that very much. So it's kind of an illogical thing at first, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's quite enough for me. So the E flats, right?
Yeah.
Are they about the same year? Because they look to be almost identical.
They do, I think. They're
Minus the main tuning slide out.
Yeah, I think they're pretty close.
Now, is there, other than, I don't know, it's, because obviously there was a change between main tuning slide in the lead pipe as opposed to after the valve section. Is there any particular reason why they did that, other than, in terms of
I don't know.
keeping the bore the same?
Good question.
Because the King marching tuba that I converted has the tuning slide in the lead pipe. And I've heard people say they don't like it because it doesn't have a good sound, but it's really, I can't tell the difference between the two.
Well, that's the way my miracle is. You run very straight down the instrument.
Yes. So when did it, because made by CG Con, Elkhart, Indiana, and Worcester, Massachusetts.
So that dates this back into the 1890s.
Oh, okay. Yeah, patented 15th of 1886 for the valve casing. So they went from something prior to 1900 with the valve or the main tuning slide here to, and I'm assuming that's what the other one is. Yeah, like this is made by Elkhart, Indiana only, and this is, so they went from one design to the same design but with a different tuning. So this was probably part of the original collection, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be, read what it says again.
Made by CG Con, Elkhart. Yeah, Elkhart, Indiana. Obviously for a smaller mouthpiece and a B flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I played on the, what was that? The anonymous Austrian 26-footer down in Openness. And that, despite the size of it, only weighed 26 pounds.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it was about the same as a standard B flat.
Yeah. Huh.
But the metal was super thin, so it played much like the Con upright.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
kind of overgrown euphoniums.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. This has been a treat.
You are welcome. It's been fun for me too. I have a haircut that I'm going to have to, so I'm going to have to leave in about 5 minutes, but I'm sure glad you came in. That was great, and we'll get some pictures out of it, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tuba collection might need that Boston, I don't know. I'm going to see, I might just bring that guy in. And of course, we have 3 or 4 Helicons, but of course, these guys up here are pretty interesting.
Yeah, the E-flats.
Yeah, this one on the left. This one.
Alto or something?
Yeah, it's well, I think it's a single B flat, but it's pretty small. It's an Italian thing, and I can't even get it over my head. This other piece is a Kron, goes way back. I think it goes back to 1880 something.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been what you would have seen in a lot of town bands in that period, probably. I can't imagine that anybody ever rode a horse and played one of those things, but that's what that's for.
Well, yeah. One reins and valves, and
You got it made.
yeah. Probably when they were trotting along, walking really slowly, parades and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And somebody who's really comfortable on a horse.
Yeah, it was Russia in 1843, something like that. That this was the Helicon was designed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I suppose if you knew how to ride so that your body went with the horse's movements all the time, it would be okay.